All right, here we go. Chapter 3. Let's take a look. This is the first thing. Now, I know this is a little bit small, but you should have your test out in front of you. And speaking of that, I'm going to get mine out in front of me because I just put the test up here just as kind of like a little reference. And, of course, I got the wrong test in front of me. Let's pause this while I find the right test. All right, let's try this again. I've got it now in front of me. Look at the first one. You got to know these words. It says, identify each pair of angles as alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, or consecutive. So angle 5 and 13. I know it's a little small, but there's 5. And let's see, where's 13? It's right there. Okay, and so what are those? Well, look what we have. We have 2 lines. Look what makes those angles right there. You've got 2 lines, and you've got a transversal, right? So look at these 2 angles. What's the their corresponding angles, okay? Because they basically, if you look at this group of 4 and this group of 4, 5 is in the top right corner and 13 is in the top right-hand corner. That means they're corresponding. So, number 1, corresponding angles. I'll just shorthand it. Yeah.
I know this one comes out, but he marks out all the weirdos. Like,
Are you kidding me?
yeah, look, it's so obvious.
All right. Thanks. All right, look, we got 9 and 16. We're trying to find out what they are. So they do share a common transversal. Look at 9 and 16. 9 is an exterior angle to that group of 4, or to this line right here. And 16 is an exterior angle. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, so what do we call them? Alternate. We'll shorthand it. Alternate, what? Exterior angles. All right. Now let's just give you a hint. Now there's going to be 40 questions on the midterm, and there's 5 tests. Is that right? 5 tests, 40 questions, right, on the midterm, and there's 5 tests. So every single one of these problems, of course, is not going to be on there. I'm going to pick and choose. So here's the thing. If I have 2 problems, these 2 problems are kind of the same style of problem. I would only pick one of these problems for the midterm. Okay, just to get a sampling of all the tests. So there'll be a few problems from Chapter 1, a few from Chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6. Everybody with me on that? To make up 40. There's only 40. Right, 40 questions, just twice as big as a regular test. All right, number 3, let's see what this says. It says, given that A and B are parallel to each other, all right, so we're saying, oops, I got to change this. All right, so if these 2 lines right there are parallel to each other, and angle 6 is 89 degrees, let's get rid of these little arcs right there. All right, where's angle 6? That would be right here. So this angle right there is 89 degrees, and angle 10 is right here. Whoops. Why is it doing that? Okay. So those 2 angles right there are given. One is 89, and we're trying to find out what 10 is. Well, look at the relationship. If these 2 lines right here are parallel to each other, this is a transversal. What's the name, first of all, of 6 and 10? The consecutive interior angle. What's true about consecutive interior angles? They're supplementary. That's right. So you take those, and they're supplementary. So I've got 89. So basically, what's my math involved if they're supplementary? All right, it's just 180 minus what? 89. And let's see, that's a 1, and that's a 9, and so what's that? 91? Almost wrote 81. Okay, so 91 degrees. So that's what angle 10 is. Supplementary, so you take the one angle away from 180, and you've got the other angle, because remember the 2 angles add up to 180. All right? So you just have to know that relationship right there. Let's see what else we got. Number 4. It says find the values of x and y, a and b. All right, so let's see what they tell you. Let's get rid of these things right here. Guys, let's please pay attention. All right, let's see what we've got. It says angle 8. So let's see, what I'm trying to do is find the relationship between the angles that they give me. All right, and then just try to solve for x and y. If you look at it, it says angle 8 is 4x plus 10, and angle 12 is 7x minus 7. So let's just find the relationship between those angles first, because they both have x in it, okay? So let's just work with those. So angle 8 is right here. Angle 12, Nico, if you do that again, I'm telling you, all right? Just settle down and just pay attention. You don't have to be like that. So here we go. 8 and 12. So again, what's the relationship between 8 and 12? Same kind of relationship we had up there. They're consecutive interior angles, okay? So if these are parallel lines, consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So look, now I don't know exactly what that angle is like I knew in that other problem, but what do I do if they're supplementary? I don't set them equal to each other, and I think a lot of you guys are looking at stuff, not really seeing the relationships and saying, I don't know what to do. Might as well just set them equal to each other, all right? You might get lucky sometimes, and that actually works. But in this particular case, they're not equal to each other. Dean, what are they? What do you do? Yeah, they're supplementary, so what do you do to them? Add them up. Add them up and set them equal to 180. So if they're supplementary, you add them up, you set them equal to 180. Let's do this real quick. That's 11x, and that's minus 17, so you add a 17. Is that right? So that's 197. Did I do that right? Yeah, it's minus 17. Add a 17, 197. Does that come out? Oh, it doesn't come out even. That's okay. So it's... Alright, I just didn't see the problem correctly. It is a 4x plus 10. It looked like a minus 10 earlier, but it's just because it's kind of small and everything doesn't show up exactly, all the little lines and stuff, I guess. So I actually did this right, but I just miswrote the problem down. So 4x plus 10 plus 7x minus 7. That's why I have this test in front of me and I didn't even use it. So anyway, so what do we got? So 4x plus, that's still 11x, and this is going to be a plus 3, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, and that equals 180. Forget that right there. Subtract a 3, so 11x equals 177. So x equals 177 over 11. Now look, you could keep that answer if you wanted to. All right, just keep it 177 over 11. A lot of people don't like to keep it like that because we're going to have to put it back in to find angle 11. And if you wanted to write it as a decimal, you could. It's about 16.1 if you wanted to use that. All right. So that's what x is. Now we got to solve for y. So let's take a look at angle 11. So look at 11, this one right here. Okay. Actually, I should put like just one across. Why could I only put one arc here? Because this is a transversal. These are parallel lines. What's true about this angle 8 and this angle 11? They're equal to each other. Okay. So angle 8 equals angle 11. Well, how do I know what angle 8 is? Well, I just found what x was, didn't I? So I can plug it in for this, and then get angle 8, and then set it equal to 3y, and then we're good to go. Let's use this as a fraction. I know this doesn't come out very pretty, but let's do it anyway. So 4x plus 10. So 4 times x, 177 over 11. Somebody have a calculator, because I don't know if I can do this in my head or not. And then plus 10. So that's what angle 8 is, right there. Okay? I know. I want to do this as a fraction now. So what's 177 times 4? Quickly. 177 times 4.
628.
628?
No, I don't know.
Oh, come on. Now, why would you do that to me? Come on. What is it? 708? Okay. 708 over 11 plus 10 over 1. But you got to find a common denominator, so that make that 11. Make this 11 would be 110. Do you agree? All right, so what's that? 708, so that would be 818. Is that right? Over 11? Yeah. Okay. So that's what angle 8's equal to. I know it's a little ugly, but look, angle 8 is equal to 818 over 11. What are we trying to do though? We're trying to solve for y, aren't we? So that means, remember these two angles are equal to each other, so that means 3y equals 818 over 11. Now how do you get rid of that 3? Divide, or since it's a fraction, multiply by a third. Alright, and that's the same thing. So look, 818 over 33. So really, the only calculator work you had to do on this was just 177 times 4. And there you go. That's what y is equal to. If you wanted to put it as a decimal, it's like 24.8. And if you wanted to plug in 16.1 to this, use a calculator the rest of the time, you'd probably have to use a calculator like on several occasions, like maybe 2 or 3 different times if you're going to use a decimal. If I used a fraction, I only had to use a calculator one time, and now it's just to figure out what 177 times 4 was. Alright, so there you go. I know you all hate fractions, but I think that's a nice way to do it. I think I'll only do one of these. Okay, there's 3 of them here, but they're all pretty much the same exact thing. It says find the slope. So you got to remember the formula for slope. Do you remember what it is?
X2 minus X1.
No, it's y's on top. Remember, it's what over what? R's. What is it? It's rise over run. So the rise is not x. What is the rise? It's the y-axis. Okay, so it's y. That should be a 2. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. You've got to remember, it's rise over run. So it's the y over the x. Now let's take a look at the numbers. Which one you want to do? Does it really matter? Let's just do number 5, since that's what I've got written down. It's I'll write the numbers down since over here it's a little bit small. And then 5, 7. All right, we're just trying to find the slope between these 2 points right here. So what does that mean, y1 minus y2? We just take the y values and we subtract them from each other. And it actually doesn't matter what order you subtract them in. But whatever order you subtract them on, the y's, you have to subtract the x's in the same order. Okay? So I always go the first one minus the second one. If you look in books, they usually say y2 minus y1. I remember when I was a kid first learning this, I always wondered, why in the world did they do that? It always confused me. You don't have to take the second one minus the first one. You just subtract them in any order, all right, as long as you subtract the x's in the same order. So I always like to go the first one minus the second one. Doesn't that make more sense to you? It does to me, so that's why I always teach it that way. So 11 minus 7, that's the y's, and now you do the x's. It's negative 5 what? Minus 5. And so 11 minus 7 is 4 over negative 10. Always reduce your fraction. So what's that going to be? Negative 2/5. Right. Okay. It doesn't matter where you put the negative. The negative could be on the top, the bottom, or right in the middle. Okay. That's perfectly fine. So you do 6 and 7 exactly the same way. What's the only, let's see. Okay, number 6 is a little bit different because number 6 comes out to 0 over, number 6 comes out to 0 over something. I don't even know what it is. Let's see. Negative 2, that would be over 9, right? Or negative 9. It doesn't make any difference. What's 0 over anything? It's 0. Okay, don't leave it 0 over 9 or 0 over negative 9. Make it 0. Does that make sense? Number 7, if you look at this, let's just do this in our head. Subtract the y's. 6 minus negative 4 is 10. And then 8 minus 8 is 0. What's 10 over 0? Is that the same thing? It's not 10. Okay, 10 over 1 would be 10. It's undefined. That's right. Okay, you cannot divide by 0. We've talked about that a whole bunch, haven't we? All right, we went through reasons why you can't divide by 0. We're not going to do that on this review. But that would be undefined. So you could get a regular number. Okay, you could get 0 or you could get undefined. There's a big difference between 0 divided by a number and a number divided by 0. This doesn't even exist. That's why we say it's undefined. This one does exist. 0 does exist. Did you know that? It's on the number line. You can add 0 to something. You can subtract 0 from something. You can multiply something by 0. All right, so 0 is something. All right, so don't think it's nothing. Let's just do one of these, either 8 or 9. Let's just do 8. We'll just kind of go in order here.
These are long.
All right. Are they long?
Yes.
Okay. It says we got to figure out, are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So we've got 3 points right here. And just so I don't, I'm sorry, 4, I can't count. There's 4 points. So here we go. We've got 1, negative 4. That's 1 point. Then we've got 5. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it like this. I got 5, 12. I've got negative 8, 3. And then negative 4, 2. And we want to find if BT, I should have written some letters here. That's B, that's T, this is M, and this is V. All right, we have to find out if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Now, how do I do that? What do I find? We just did a problem that dealt with this. Find the slope, okay, between them and see what's going on. All right, so what's that? Don't graph it. It's way harder to graph it, okay? And it's not very accurate if you graph it, I don't think. I would do it exactly the way I'm doing right here. It's a lot easier. I'm telling you, I promise. Yeah, so all you got to do is find the slopes. Look, BT. Find the slope of BT. So watch. The slope of BT, okay, is equal to what? You just subtract the y's, and then you subtract the x's. So it's negative 4. Let's just do it in our head. What's negative 4 minus 12 in your head? Negative 4 minus 12? Minus? It's negative 16. Okay, and then 1 minus 5 is negative 4. What's negative 16 over negative 4? It's positive 4. So that's the slope of BT. All right, let's find the slope of MV. That's what we're looking at right here. So let's do the same thing. So the slope of MV. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Negative 8, now watch this. Negative 8 minus a negative. What's minus a negative? It's plus. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. Okay, now look at the slopes. I've got 4 and I've got negative 1/4. All right? It's not an ordered pair. I shouldn't have put that there. But I'm looking at these two numbers right here. Is there a relationship between them? Yeah, one is the negative reciprocal of the other. So what does that mean about the two lines then? They're perpendicular. That's right. So these two lines are perpendicular. How would I know if they were parallel to each other? What would be true about the two slopes? They would be equal to each other. Okay, they'd be the same. All right, so if the two slopes are the same, it would be parallel. If they're negative reciprocals, it would be perpendicular. If none of those things were true, what if this was a positive 1/4 instead of a negative 1/4? They'd be neither. That's right, because they're not either equal to each other or they're not negative reciprocals of each other, so that would be neither. Okay, but it was negative, so that means they're perpendicular. Does it make sense? So coming back to you now? All right, let's keep going. Okay, let's keep going. I don't know if I'm going to do every single one of these, but we'll do a couple of them. Let's do the easiest one first, just to kind of get you into the swing of things. It says write the equation in point-slope form. Now, this is the only one that's point-slope form. Do you remember off the top of your head what point-slope form is?
Y minus Y1 equals M X minus X1.
Good. Okay. So you do remember that. There's no y-intercept on this, is there? All right. There's just the slope and a point. This x1 and y1 is your point. So if you look at this, they give you a slope. It's negative 3/2, and they give you a point, which is 7, negative 3. And we just have to take these two pieces of information, put it into this equation, and make it point-slope form. All right, you really don't even have to do any math with this. All you got to do is just plug stuff in, and then you're basically done. So it's y minus y1. We keep the y, the letter y. Okay, we don't put a number in for that y. We do put a number in for y1, and we do put a number in for x1. So what do we put in for y1? A negative, well, it's negative 3, but y minus negative 3 will be plus 3. All right, and we can just do that right now. And then it's m. What is our m? Negative 3/2 times x. Remember, that just stays x. And this is minus x1. What's our x1? It's just 7. And there it is. You're done. Okay, don't distribute this through. Don't subtract a 3 from both sides. Don't try to get y by itself. Just keep it like this, because this is point-slope form. And that's the form that they ask you to put this in. Now, if you notice, on all these problems right there, that's the only one that they ask for point-slope form. Everything else is what? Slope-intercept form. And that's the most popular one. So we'll do one with a slope-intercept form now. So might as well just go to the next one, right? Number 11. It says write the equation in slope-intercept form. So what's your way of saying slope-intercept form? How do you know it as? What do you know it as? Yeah, y equals mx plus b. All right. And let's see what we got. It says point-slope form. They tell you, let's say 11. They tell you the slope is 3. So I'm going to write that down. So the slope is 3. And it contains the point negative 5, negative 6. Negative 5, negative 6. All right, we got to put it into this form right here. Well, this x and this y actually stands for something, just like this x1 and y1 stood for something. It stands for a point on the line. Do I know a point on the line? Sure, it's the one they gave us, negative 5, negative 6. So the negative 5 is going to go for the x, in for the x, and the negative 6 is going to go in for the what? For the y. And of course, the 3 is going to go in for the m. So look, I know a x, I know a m, I know a y. So what can I solve for after I plug all that stuff in? Solve for the y-intercept, which is b. So let's do that. So it's going to be negative 6 equals m, which is 3, times x, which is negative 5, plus b. And now all we got to do is solve for b. So negative 6 equals negative 15 plus b. Add a 15, that's positive 9. Right? Yep, minus 15, add a 15, yep, positive 9. So the y-intercept is positive 9. Is that my answer, just positive 9? No, we want to write it y equals mx plus b. Look, I know the y-intercept. They told me already what the slope was. That's all I got to do. If they ask for an equation in slope-intercept form, all I got to do is find two things, the slope and the y-intercept. They were nice to us and gave us the slope right off the bat. All we had to do is figure out the y-intercept. You see that? And now you just put it all together real nice and pretty. So it's y equals m, which is 3, and then you write it as the x and then the b. So that's why we did all the work. So positive 9, so it's a plus 9. There it is. Yep.
Can we do 13?
Okay, yeah, we'll skip to 13. All right, let's take a look at 13. By the way, on 12, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it's pretty much like 11, except they give you 2 points instead of giving you the slope. So what do you have to do? Just find the slope. And then when you're putting in a point for x and y, you can pick either this point or pick this point. It doesn't make any difference. So it's really very close to what we just did on number 11, except you just have to find the slope. Okay, the rest of it is pretty much the same. All right, so number 13, this is a little bit different. It says x and y intercept. So the x-intercept is -6. Is that right? Let me look at my test, make sure. Okay, equals -6, and then they tell you what the y-intercept is, and that's +2. Now look, you don't have to graph this to do it, but I just want to do a little graph just to kind of give you an idea what I'm going to do next. The x-intercept, that means it crosses the x-axis at -6. So let's say that's -6 right there. So it crosses right there. What would that ordered pair be if it crossed the x-axis at -6? It would be -6, 0. That's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that point down, -6, 0. That's my x-intercept. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The y-intercept is +2. So that would be right here at 2. So that would be 0, 2. And what are you trying to do? You're trying to find the equation of a line that goes through these 2 points, correct? So really, now we're set up to do it just like number 12 was. Now I have 2 points. In fact, I don't even have to find the y-intercept. I already know the y-intercept, don't I? So I already know the y-intercept. So they give me one thing. So really, what's the only thing I really have to find? Is the slope. So now I just find the slope of this. So the slope, subtract the y's, 0 minus 2, it's -2. Subtract the x's, -6 minus 0. That reduces to +1/3. And look, I've got both things, don't I? I just put it together, right? Put it into my formula, make it nice and pretty. So what's it look like? Y equals 1/3 x plus 2. It's as simple as that. And that's your answer right there. All right, let's do number 14. We probably won't have enough time to go all the way to the end of this, but I'll put it on there. So when you go on YouTube, maybe tonight, I don't know if I'll have time to do that, but maybe tonight I'll put the other problems on there, the rest of them. Now the last 2 problems are pretty tough, right? So you want to make sure that you go and you look at them because they are pretty involved. And I'll probably have one problem like that. I probably won't have both of them like the last 2, but I'll pick one, either 19 or 20, okay? So you want to make sure you go through and look at both of those. Anyway, let's do 14 right now. It says write the equation in slope-intercept form, okay, that passes through 8, -1. Now this is a little different. They don't just give you a slope and a y-intercept, or they don't just give you 2 points. They give you 1 point and a equation of a line. So y equals 2x minus 17. And it says it's perpendicular to this. So look what we're doing. Don't pack up. Let's listen. Let's pay attention. We still got a couple minutes. So we want to find the equation of a line that goes through this point right here and is perpendicular to this line. Don't waste your time graphing this thing because it's not near that difficult. All we got to do is find, remember, how did we find equations of a line before? If I knew a slope and I knew a point, I could put the stuff in, right, and find the equation of a line. Well, all I got to do is find a slope. So look at the slope of this line that they give us. Now the slope of my line has to be perpendicular to this line. So what's my slope have to be? It's -1/2. So I look at their slope, and since it says perpendicular, I take the negative reciprocal, and my slope is -1/2. What if it said parallel? Then it would be 2. That's right. That's all there is to it. It's really simple. So now look what I got. I got a slope, and I have a point. We've already done this problem before, haven't we? So all I got to do is plug this into y equals mx plus b, and then I can go do that. Okay, so watch. Y equals mx plus b. The y is -1. The slope is -1/2 times x, which is 8 over 1 plus what? B. So I'm trying to find the y-intercept. Let's do the math. This is pretty easy. This is going to be negative. What's half of 8? 4. So that's -4, isn't it? Add a 4 to both sides. And so what's b? It's 3. So how do I write my final answer? I got a slope. I got a y-intercept. You just put the 2 things together, make it nice and pretty, like I've been saying. So it's -1/2 x plus 3. That's your answer right there. Yes?